When we talk about Smith Brothers, we don't just talk about another furniture company. We talk about our culture, our values, why we do what we do. Approximately 15 years ago, our industry really began pursuing the import model. As more and more manufacturers went overseas in pursuit of cheap labor, and they had to bring their finished products back over, the retailers in this country began to find that there were some cracks developing in the dike. Delivery times from China and those type of countries would often run 12 to 14 weeks. The second problem, the Chinese model is not built for customization. They do a great job of building large quantities of one of a kind. And so there was a lot of sameness showing up on the retailers' floors across the country. Thirdly, problem resolution became a real issue. When they waited 14 weeks for their products to arrive off the container and they ordered blue and they got green, what do you do now? It was built 7,000 miles away. Some of the problems that developed in the import model, as dealers and retailers experienced them, that scenario opened doors of opportunity for Smith Brothers. As we looked at that model here at Smith Brothers, we felt the answer was going to be offer selection. A wonderful quality product, quickly delivered to the retailer and ultimately the consumer, followed up with tremendous customer service. You have 1,000 fabrics to select from, 100 leathers, and you can have it your way. That ability to offer a consumer something that they've been able to personalize through customization and then still get it within basically 4 weeks, that model has served us very well. We want to be proud to put our name on it. That the self-deck has a label sewn into it and it is signed by key employees. That is an indication that they are proud to take ownership of the furniture that they helped build. And that pride of ownership translates to a lot of useful years and enjoyable years by the consumer. 15 years later, the decision to stay here has turned out to be a blessing, not a curse. Styles come and go, furniture lines come and go, companies come and go. Quality has not gone out of style. We firmly believe that consumers that buy our furniture will be as proud to own it as we are to build it.
A lot of the furniture that's sold today unfortunately doesn't have that sort of timeless quality to it. Because corners were cut, because things were done as inexpensively as possible, we've taken a completely different approach. We spend a lot of time thinking about how to make the product better.
We do not cut corners here at Smith Brothers. We seek out the best quality product. We have the best suppliers, we have the best componentry. Very much a craft rather than just an assembly process as you would typically think of in a manufacturing environment. We want to ensure that our retailers and their end consumers have the best seat experience possible. Our seat foam is the absolute best foam that you can purchase out there. We have 3 separate independent spring units that are mounted into a sofa. It's very comparable to the independent suspension on a vehicle. Each person will have their own independent suspension, so to speak. You won't find yourself falling into your neighbor that's sitting next to you on that Smith Brothers sofa.
We use a solid maple lumber frame, and that lumber is kiln dried. The kiln drying helps to make the wood more stable, and it reduces moisture so that the wood is less likely to warp.
The brackets that we utilize provides side load strength from side to side. When you sit down, you lean on an arm. The one thing you'll notice about a Smith Brothers piece of furniture is you won't get that flex that you would get in a typical overseas brand. Our rear legs are actually part of the frame. Those are not an afterthought. They're not placed on as a separate component. They are actually structured and built directly into the frame. We have a double dowel joint. It's glued. It's also screwed. It's stapled.
When you walk up to a piece of furniture, if the pattern is kind of jumbled and doesn't match, that gives you a sense already of how well was this piece of furniture built. Flow matching is when you have a pattern in your fabric that you want to match as you look going down the sofa. So from the back cushions to the seat cushions down to the base, You want to have a nice continuous flow. When you see that it's this perfect match and the pattern just naturally flows, it feeds into that whole consistency and the pride that we have in our furniture.
We utilize testing of all of our fabrics and leathers. We take a weighted wheel and we will drop it on either side of a seam being 7 stitches per inch. We will drop that wheel 5,000 times per side, and our attempt is to stress that fabric to the point of failure. If the seam does fail, we'll place a bead of hot glue through the seam, and that then strengthens the seam and provides the integrity for that seam to last a lifetime.
I think the reason that it's so important as to why Smith Brothers put so much work and effort and pride into their furniture is that in the end, we want our retailers and also the end consumer to be proud of their own piece of furniture. If we build it with a sense of pride, they can sell it with a sense of pride, and then ultimately the end consumer can enjoy it and be proud.